Earth's seat was always empty. Humanity never begged for acceptance. Best HFY Stories, HFY Sci-Fi. The Galactic Assembly Hall was vast, larger than any human could imagine. Its walls glowed with soft light that shifted in color, showing the presence of each alien species. Hundreds of seats formed a wide circle. Above each seat, a small holographic symbol floated, glowing to show the power and influence of its owner. Every species was represented, from the tall, spindly quarrens with their many arms to the heavy, armored grask, whose shells reflected the light like polished metal. But one seat was empty. The empty seat was labeled Earth. It had always been empty. Many in the assembly had asked why humans never came. Ambassador Talvik, a Quarren of high rank, stared at it now, his three eyes narrowing. He had spent decades in the assembly, watching humans from a distance. Their absence annoyed him more than anything. He could not understand why they would refuse to join the Great Council. To him, it was an insult. They never came. They never even sent a message, Talvik said to his assistant, a younger Quarren named Velen. His voice carried a mix of anger and disbelief. All other species beg for a seat, all other species show respect, but humans sit on their own world and do nothing. Velen glanced at the empty seat. Perhaps they are not ready, he suggested. Talvik shook his head. Not ready. They are advanced enough to travel between stars. Not ready. It is arrogance, simple arrogance. Across the hall, the council whispered among themselves. The humans' absence had long been a topic of gossip. Some species thought humans were weak. Others thought they were violent. The most cautious species feared them. Stories about humanity had grown in exaggeration over time. They destroyed their own planet, whispered a green-scaled delegate to another. They refused to share their technology, said a tall, blue-skinned diplomat. They are divided. They cannot even agree among themselves, said a small, floating creature, its body shaped like a cloud. No, said another quietly, they are afraid. That is why they never appear. But none of the council members knew the truth. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity had chosen independence. Far away, orbiting above a quiet, blue-green planet, the humans watched the same assembly from a command station. The station was modest by alien standards, but it was functional and efficient. Commander Jack Carter stood at the large observation window, his hands behind his back. His uniform was simple, his expression calm. Still muted? Asked Dr. Emma Brooks, a scientist who specialized in long-range sensors. She looked at Jack and then back at the glowing screen of the assembly feed. Jack nodded. I don't need to listen, I know what they are saying. Captain Liam Ross, a fleet officer, leaned against the console. They think we are weak, that we are scared, that we beg. Jack turned to him and smiled faintly. They have never been more wrong. Engineer Nathan Cole, checking a series of screens, shook his head. They don't understand humans, they never will. We don't fight to show off. We fight because we have to. Analyst Grace Hill tapped her fingers on the console. They are planning to send a message, a warning, I can see it. They will demand our attendance next session or impose sanctions. Jack did not flinch. Let them talk, he said quietly. Our seat is empty, it always has been. And it always will be. Back in the assembly, the council voted. The human seat was still empty, yet its absence was more noticeable than the presence of anyone else. Talvik's three hands moved over his control panel, casting votes in favor of sending an official warning. The vote passed. The council's decision was final. A message would be sent to Earth. The humans would be warned, attend the next session, or face consequences. Some species thought this would force humans to beg for membership. Others thought humans would finally admit they were weak. Meanwhile, on Earth, Jack and his team continued their work. The station was busy but calm. Scientists monitored the skies. Engineers tested weapons systems and propulsion drives. Fleet officers plotted maneuvers and strategies, but there was no panic. Humanity did not panic, Emma approached Jack with a data pad. They think they can intimidate us. They don't know we already prepared for their threats. Jack nodded. And they never will. We don't negotiate under threat. We never have. Grace spoke up. Do you think they will actually attack us if we refuse? Jack smiled faintly. Not yet. They are still too confident, but when they do, they will see the truth. Nathan looked up from his console. And what is the truth? Jack turned to the large window, watching the planet rotate slowly below them. That humanity does not beg. That humanity does not surrender. That humanity stands alone when it must. And when the time comes, it can stand for more than itself. In the council, Ambassador Talvik was growing impatient. He could not understand why humans never responded. Other species offered explanations, but none satisfied him. They are hiding, he growled to Velen. They are building weapons. They are preparing for something. I can feel it, and when they finally act, they will act not for us, not for the council, but for themselves. That is dangerous. Velen nodded. Then perhaps it is better that we leave the seat empty. Let them make their move on their own terms. Talvik's eyes narrowed. They will pay for ignoring us. One way or another, humans will come to the table. On Earth, the humans prepared quietly. They did not broadcast their preparations. Their shipyards hummed with activity. Faster-than-light drives were tested and improved. Satellites were placed in orbit. Asteroids were mined to supply resources. Humanity was ready, but they did not brag. They did not send messages. They simply worked, knowing that when the galaxy finally tested them, they would respond with precision, not fear. Emma looked at a star chart showing the positions of nearby alien fleets. They underestimate us, she said. Jack's eyes were steady. That is their mistake. Always underestimate humans. Liam leaned over the console. They think we need them, that we beg for acceptance. That we are weak, Jack smiled faintly. We have never begged and we never will. Grace looked at him unsure. Even if they attack, Jack turned to her, calm and unwavering. Even then, humanity fights for what is right, not for approval, not for recognition. Only for what is ours to protect. The council sent their warning. Holographic messages floated above Talvik's desk. The language was precise, diplomatic, and threatening. Attend the next session of the Galactic Assembly or face sanctions, it read. Talvik watched it carefully. This will work, he said aloud. They will attend. They will come crawling, begging for a seat. But on Earth, Jack did not read the message. He let it remain unopened. The humans were not afraid of threats. They were not interested in approval. Their actions would speak for them when the time came. Let them speak, Jack said. Let them think we are weak. It will make no difference. Days passed. The Galactic Council continued its debates, speculating about humanity. Talvik argued fiercely that the humans were hiding weapons, or that they were secretly allied with a rival species. They are waiting, Talvik said, waiting for us to weaken ourselves, for us to make a mistake, and then they will strike. Other delegates nodded, fearful of the unknown power of humanity, but none could see the truth. On Earth, the humans continued their quiet work. Ships were built, fleets were trained. Scientists discovered new ways to harness energy. Engineers tested weapons systems that could strike faster than Council defenses. And yet, not a word of it left the planet. Humanity did not announce its readiness. Humanity did not need recognition. Finally, the day came when the Council sent another broadcast, this time pleading and threatening at once. Talvik watched eagerly as the message sent. Earth, it said, you must answer. Attend the assembly. Refusal is unacceptable. On Earth, Jack smiled faintly. They still do not understand, he said. We never needed their permission. We never needed their acceptance. Our seat has always been empty, and it always will be. Emma glanced at him. Do you think they will ever get it? Jack shook his head. No, and that is fine. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Humanity will not beg. Humanity will not surrender. Humanity will act when the time is right, and then they will see the truth. Liam leaned back, watching the planet below. And when that time comes, will we finally take our seat? Jack turned to him, calm and confident. No, our seat is not for begging. Our seat is empty and it will stay empty. That is the point. We stand alone, but we do not stand small. The galaxy will remember us, not because we asked to be remembered, but because we acted when it mattered. Grace looked at the screens showing the assembly hall. And they still think we are weak. Jack smiled faintly. Yes, and that will be their greatest mistake. The empty seat glowed softly in the assembly hall. Other delegates whispered and debated. Talvik shook his head in frustration. He had spent decades trying to understand humanity, and yet he had never succeeded. On Earth, Jack and his team continued their quiet work. The planet rotated slowly beneath them. Ships moved in orbit. Engines hummed. Weapons systems tested silently. Humanity was ready. And yet they waited. They always waited. They waited for no one and for no approval. And as the council continued to speculate, humanity did what it had always done. It prepared. It watched. And it remained independent. The empty seat remained empty. And that was how humanity wanted it. The warning from the Galactic Council arrived quietly in human space. It was not violent. There were no ships sent to orbit. There were no explosions, just a cold, precise message. Attend the assembly or face sanctions. On Earth, in the orbital command station, Commander Jack Carter read the message without emotion. The soft hum of the station's systems filled the silence. Here it is, Jack said calmly. They think they can force us to act. Dr. Emma Brooks looked over his shoulder. They underestimate us, as always. Captain Liam Ross leaned against the console. Do they ever learn? Not in 1,000 years, Jack replied. Engineer Nathan Cole tapped at his terminal. They are starting to restrict trade routes near our system. I am picking up warnings to smaller species not to deal with us. They think isolation will make us beg. Grace Hill frowned. Isolation, they are trying to pressure us into submission, Jack shook his head. They have tried to understand humans for decades. They never have, and they never will. Let them try their games. We have work to do. In secret, humanity moved quietly. Shipyards on the dark side of the moon expanded, building vessels far faster than the council expected. Engineers worked night and day to improve faster-than-light drives. Weapons were designed for efficiency and adaptability. Satellites were deployed across the solar system. Emma monitored the systems, her eyes scanning long-range sensors. Our preparations are nearly complete, she said. We can move into any region of space in hours. Our fleet is ready. Jack nodded. Ready but not aggressive. We wait. That is what they never understand. We do not act out of fear or pride. We act when it is necessary. Nathan leaned back in his chair. I like it. Let them talk. Let them think we are weak. It will make the truth hit harder when the time comes. Grace smiled faintly. Do you think they will ever see the truth before it is too late? Jack's eyes were steady. No, they will never understand, and that is our advantage. Meanwhile, the council grew impatient. Ambassador Talvik pounded his desk with 3 hands. They are still silent, he shouted. Do you not see, Velen? Humans are dangerous because they refuse to follow our rules. They hide behind independence, but they are planning. They will strike when we are weak. Velen, ever calm, replied, then perhaps they will act on their own. Perhaps that is better than having them in our assembly. Talvik's eyes narrowed. Better? Better for whom? The galaxy will be destroyed if humans act without our guidance, and yet they refuse to join us. They will learn the cost of ignoring the council. Back on Earth, Jack and his team continued their quiet preparations. Their ships were being tested in simulated battles. Engineers ran stress tests on shields and weapons. Scientists calculated trajectories for long-range operations. Every system was checked and double-checked. Emma brought new data to Jack. Sensors show movement near the Council's outer territories. A hostile species is approaching. Their numbers are large and their technology is brutal. The Council does not see the threat. Jack's expression did not change. Then we will be the ones to see it. Let them continue thinking humans are weak. They will discover the truth too late. Liam looked at the star charts. This could be their test. They believe we will beg for help if they are attacked. Jack shook his head. We do not beg, we do not ask, we act. That is the difference. The hostile species, called the Vorin, began striking outer colonies of Council-aligned species. They moved quickly and without mercy, destroying settlements and supply lines. The Council fleets attempted to respond, but their rigid command system slowed them. They depended on approval from multiple offices, signatures from diplomats, and votes from assembly members. By the time they acted, entire colonies had fallen. Ambassador Talvik watched the reports with growing fear. They are too fast, too precise. They are human-led fleets. It must be humans, he said, though he had no proof. Velen tilted his head. Or they are simply witnessing the Council's failure. Perhaps humans will act, or perhaps they will not. On Earth, Jack called a meeting with his team. They gathered around a large holographic display of the galaxy. The Vorin are moving faster than the Council can respond, Jack said. They threaten the lives of billions across this sector. The Council will do nothing to stop them in time. That is our choice. Emma frowned. Do we intervene? They are not asking for our help. Jack's voice was calm but firm. We do not wait for requests. We act when it is necessary. We protect what must be protected. Grace nodded. So we act without approval. Jack smiled faintly. Exactly. Humanity has never waited for permission, and we never will. Liam leaned forward. Our fleet is ready. Ships are equipped, crews trained. We can strike with precision. Nathan added, our weapons are adaptable. We can improvise in ways they never expect. Shields, engines, targeting systems, everything is prepared for combat. Emma turned to Jack. And yet we remain quiet, unseen. Jack nodded. Silence is our weapon. Let them speculate. Let them assume weakness. That is the advantage of standing alone. The human fleet moved into position near the Vorin forces. Ships were organized in flexible formations. Captains had full authority to act without waiting for orders. Engineers ran last-minute checks. Scientists analyzed enemy patterns. Every detail was ready. Jack watched the preparations from the command deck. Remember, he said, we fight not for recognition, not for approval. We fight because it is right. That is what makes humans strong. Grace spoke softly. Do you think the Council will finally understand? Jack shook his head. No, they will not understand until it is too late, and by then the lesson will be undeniable. In the assembly hall, Talvik was growing desperate. They cannot ignore us forever, he shouted. We will enforce sanctions. We will cut off all trade. We will show them that the Council is not to be ignored. Other delegates nodded in agreement. They feared the unknown power of humans. They feared what would happen if the humans acted. But they also did not understand that humans did not act for fear or reward. Humans acted for duty, for morality, for survival. Velen whispered, perhaps their silence is the answer. Perhaps the seat should remain empty. Perhaps that is the strength of humans. Talvik froze. Strength. Their strength lies in obedience, not in independence. They are dangerous because they refuse to obey. Back on Earth, Jack gave the final orders. Deploy reconnaissance first. Keep them hidden. Monitor the Vorin movement. Do not engage until we know exactly where the threat is most vulnerable. Precision, patience, and courage, that is humanity's way. Liam turned to his crews. This is what we trained for. Move fast, strike smart, protect innocence. And remember, we do not fight for glory, we fight for duty. Nathan watched the energy readings. All systems are green. Weapons, engines, shields, every ship ready. Emma analyzed sensor data. Vorin fleet is divided in approach. There is an opening near the outer colonies. We can hit them before they consolidate. Jack nodded. Then we strike there. We save lives not to be thanked, but because it is right. That is what makes humans different. The first human reconnaissance ships approached the Vorin. They were small, fast, and stealthy. Sensors recorded enemy positions. Weapons systems targeted critical weak points. The Vorin moved blindly, unaware that a silent observer was preparing to intervene. Grace monitored communications. No alarms. They do not know we are here. They believe the Council will save them. They will be disappointed. Liam smiled. We do not need permission. We do not need thanks. We act, and that is enough. Jack watched from the command deck, his hands behind his back. Let the galaxy speak. Let them debate. Our seat is empty. Our actions will speak louder than words ever could. As night fell over Earth, the humans continued their preparation. The Council continued to speculate. The Vorin advanced, destroying what they could, and humanity remained calm, precise, and unseen. They waited. They observed. They prepared. And when the time came, they would act. Jack looked at the planet below. They think we are weak. That is their mistake. Let them believe what they will. The truth is ours to show when the time is right. Emma, Liam, Nathan, and Grace nodded. They understood. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this. And they would act when the galaxy needed them, whether the Council approved or not. The empty seat in the assembly hall glowed softly, waiting. But it was not weakness. It was choice. It was patience. It was strength. Humanity never begged. Humanity never surrendered. And humanity was ready. The test was beginning. The first human ships moved silently through space. They were dark, sleek vessels with sharp angles and engines that hummed quietly. The Council fleets had noticed movement, but they could not tell where it came from. To the Council, these ships were a mystery. To humanity, they were the tools of duty, ready to strike at the right moment. Commander Jack Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Liberty. His eyes were calm, but inside he was ready for action. Around him, the crew moved quickly, checking weapons systems, monitoring sensors, and adjusting formations. Captain Liam Ross spoke to the fleet over the secure channel. Remember, our goal is not glory. Our goal is to protect. We strike only when it is necessary, move fast, strike smart, and trust each other. Engineer Nathan Cole tapped at the console. Shields at full capacity, weapons systems online, targeting recalibrated for adaptive combat. We are ready, Doctor. Emma Brooks studied the sensor readouts. The Vorin fleet is larger than we expected, but their movements are predictable. They depend on coordination, which slows them down. If we act quickly, we can hit their weak points before they adjust. Analyst Grace Hill spoke softly. They have no idea we are here. They think the Council will protect them. That is their mistake. Jack nodded. Then we will show them the truth. Humanity does not wait for permission. Humanity acts when it is right, and it is right now. The first strike was swift. Human vessels moved in multiple directions at once, splitting into small groups to confuse the enemy. They did not attack like the Council fleets. They improvised. They used the environment. Asteroids were pushed into enemy paths. Debris fields were used as shields. Human ships adapted in real time. A Vorin frigate moved toward a small colony. Liam's group intercepted it. The human ships danced around the enemy, firing lasers that disabled engines and shields. The Vorin retaliated with heavy energy blasts, but the humans had already calculated escape routes and weak points. The frigate was destroyed before it could reach the colony. Emma's voice came over the communication channel. Sensors show multiple Vorin strike groups moving in. They are organized but slow to adapt. We can predict their movements and respond before they act. Jack looked at the display. Then we respond. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Humanity does not ask permission. Humanity does not beg. Humanity acts. The battle spread across several star systems. Human fleets moved faster than the enemy expected. They protected colonies that the Council fleets had ignored. They intercepted supply lines. They rescued civilians trapped in the Vorin attacks. And they fought with precision, not rage. Ambassador Talvik watched from the assembly hall. His eyes widened as reports came in. It cannot be. Humans, they are fighting to protect others. Velen, the younger Quarren, nodded slowly. It seems they act for principle, not for recognition. That is why they are effective. That is why the Vorin cannot adapt. Talvik shook his head. It is dangerous. Their actions are not under council control. They move as they wish. They fight as they wish. This will create chaos. On Earth, Jack's team coordinated the fleet. Human ships were spread across multiple systems, each acting independently, but they shared information instantly. Emma predicted Vorin movements, sending instructions to ships in real time. Nathan rerouted power to weapons and shields to survive attacks that would have destroyed any other vessel. Grace monitored communications between rescued colonies. She opened temporary evacuation routes and ensured civilians were moved safely. Jack smiled faintly. They still do not understand, he said. They think we fight for the council. We fight for life itself. Liam grinned. And that is why we are winning. The turning point came when the Vorin flagship entered the system. It was massive, a floating fortress bristling with weapons and shields. Council fleets hesitated, waiting for approval. They sent signals, requested votes, and debated strategy. Jack did not hesitate. Liam, we move, we strike now. Liam's voice was steady. Understood. Fleet, follow my lead. Attack pattern Delta 9. Focus on weak points and protect civilians. Human ships converged on the flagship. They fired in coordinated strikes, but they also adapted in real time. If a shield regenerated, weapons recalibrated instantly. If a weapon system targeted a ship, that ship moved and countered with precision. The Vorin could not predict human behavior. Emma analyzed the battle from the orbital command station. Their engines are overheating. Shields are down. We can strike the final blow. Jack gave the order. Execute final maneuver. Humanity does not hesitate. Humanity does not beg. Humanity acts. The Liberty and several other ships moved close to the flagship. They activated a risky warp-fold strike, something the Council had never seen humans attempt. In one instant, they struck the flagship's core, destroying it completely. The Vorin flagship exploded. The shockwave spread across the enemy fleet, destroying smaller ships and scattering the survivors. The invasion collapsed. Across the galaxy, news of the human intervention spread. Council fleets were stunned. Alien delegates whispered in fear and awe. Ambassador Talvik's hands shook as he watched the battle reports. They did what? He asked Velen. They saved millions, Velen replied quietly. Without asking for approval, without joining the council, they acted alone. Talvik's eyes narrowed. This is dangerous. They cannot be controlled. They are unpredictable, and yet they are strong, too strong. On Earth, the human fleet regrouped. Ships returned to safe positions, shields repaired, and crews rested. Jack gathered his team in the command room. Good work, he said. We protected what needed protection. We acted when it was right. That is what makes humans different. That is why the seat remains empty. Emma smiled faintly. We did not fight for recognition. We did what was right, and that is enough. Grace nodded. And the council, what will they say? Jack's eyes were calm. They will say we are dangerous. They will say we are arrogant. They will try to understand us, and they will fail. That is how it should be. Liam leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. We fought differently. We improvised. We saved lives. We did not beg. We did not negotiate. We acted, and it worked. Nathan added, the Vorin will think twice before attacking again, and the Council, they will think twice about underestimating humans. The galaxy was quiet for a moment. The Vorin had been defeated. Colonies were saved. Civilians were protected. And humanity had proven its strength without asking for approval or recognition. The Council sent messages of gratitude, but they were formal and cautious. They did not understand the human way of acting alone and for principle. Talvik watched the reports, his face pale. They did not beg, they did not ask, and yet they hold the power of life and death in their hands. How is that possible? Velen replied softly. Perhaps because they never needed permission. Perhaps because they understand duty better than the Council ever could. On Earth, Jack looked at the empty holographic projection of the Galactic Assembly. The seat for Earth still glowed softly. It had never been filled. It had never been needed. "We do not sit for approval," Jack said. "We do not need their recognition. Humanity acts because it is right, and that is more than enough." Emma, Liam, Nathan, and Grace nodded. They had seen humanity at its best. They had seen what it meant to act with courage, intelligence, and independence. Grace looked at Jack. "Do you think they will ever understand why we remain independent?" Jack smiled faintly. "No, they will never understand, and that is the point. Humanity does not need to be understood. Humanity only needs to act." The human fleet began to withdraw from Council-controlled space. They did not demand territory, recognition, or payment. They returned to their systems, ready to protect their own and prepared for the next challenge, whatever it might be. The Voran threat had been stopped. The Council had learned a lesson they could not have foreseen. Humans were strong, independent, and unpredictable. They did not beg for acceptance. They never had, and they never would. Ambassador Talvik sat quietly, staring at the empty seat. His 3 eyes reflected a mixture of fear, awe, and respect. "They are different," he whispered. "They are dangerous, and yet they are humans," Velen nodded. "And that is why the seat remains empty. They choose their own way, and the galaxy will remember it." Back on Earth, Jack and his team celebrated quietly, not for victory but for duty fulfilled. Ships returned to orbit, crews rested, scientists continued their research, engineers repaired systems, and humanity prepared for the future. Jack looked out the observation window at the blue planet below. "We do not need to beg. We do not need to fight for recognition. We act. We protect, and that is enough." Emma, Liam, Nathan, and Grace stood beside him. They understood. Humanity had shown its strength without seeking approval, and that strength would define them for the galaxy to see. The empty seat in the assembly hall glowed quietly across space. It remained empty as it always had, but the galaxy had witnessed the proof of humanity's power, courage, and independence. Humanity had entered the war. Humanity had protected countless lives, and humanity had done it all without begging, without asking, and without compromise. The seat remained empty, and it always would be. The galaxy was quiet now, but the echoes of humanity's actions reverberated across systems. The Voran threat had been stopped, their fleets shattered, and countless colonies saved. The Galactic Assembly was in shock. Delegates whispered in fear and awe. Ships had returned to their systems, and humans had not claimed a single reward. They had not demanded recognition. They had acted because it was right. Ambassador Talvik paced the assembly hall, his 3 eyes wide and restless. They did not attend the assembly. They did not ask for permission. And yet they hold power over life and death across our sector. How can this be? Velen, his assistant, watched quietly. Because humans act on principle. They do not follow rules imposed by others. They decide what is right and act without asking for approval. That is why they are strong. Talvik shook his head. Strong, they are reckless. They are unpredictable. If they choose to act against us, we cannot stop them. And yet they saved billions. Across the hall, the other delegates murmured agreement. Fear and respect filled the room. For centuries, the assembly had believed that rules, votes, and structure kept the galaxy safe. Humans had proven that courage, independence, and action mattered more than any law. A message from Earth arrived, transmitted through secure channels. It was brief and calm. Commander Jack Carter appeared as a hologram before the assembly. His uniform was simple, his face calm. The seat for Earth glowed behind him, still empty. "I received your invitation," Jack said. "We see your gratitude, we see your warnings, we also see your misunderstanding. Humanity does not attend assemblies to beg. Humanity does not ask for permission. Humanity acts because it is right." He paused, letting the words sink in. We fought for life. We protected those who could not protect themselves. We acted when no one else could. We do not need recognition, nor do we seek it. Our seat has always been empty, and it always will be. Ambassador Talvik froze. They refuse again, he whispered. Velen nodded. It is the human way. They stand alone, but they do not stand small. That is why the seat is empty. On Earth, Jack stood in the observation room of the orbital command station, his team beside him. Dr. Emma Brooks, Captain Liam Ross, Engineer Nathan Cole, and Analyst Grace Hill looked at the transmission from the assembly on their screens. Emma spoke first. They do not understand. They never will. And yet they respect us, even if they do not say it. Jack nodded. Respect is earned through action, not words. We never begged, we never surrendered, and now they have learned our strength without us speaking a word of arrogance. Liam smiled faintly. We fought differently, we improvised, we saved lives. And we did it without asking for approval. That is something no council can teach. Nathan crossed his arms. They underestimated us for decades, and now they will never do it again. Grace added softly, we acted as humans always should. Independently, decisively, and for what is right. Jack looked out at the planet below. And that is why the seat will remain empty. Humanity stands alone, but it is strong enough to stand for everyone. The council debated the human message for hours. Many delegates were conflicted. Some were angry at the audacity of humanity. Others were terrified of their independence. But all agreed that the humans had changed the galaxy. Ambassador Talvik addressed the assembly. I formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Council, he said, his voice shaking. We offer equality, resources, and protection. We acknowledge their power. We acknowledge their judgment. Please come and take your place. The assembly murmured in agreement. Every species understood the offer was unprecedented. No one had ever refused the council after performing such a feat. Yet humanity remained silent. On Earth, the team watched the invitation appear on their screens. Jack smiled faintly. They finally understand. Or at least they recognize our strength. But we do not need the seat. We do not need approval. We acted because it was right. That is enough. Emma shook her head, smiling. They still do not get it. They think we want to join. We do not. We never did. Liam leaned back in his chair. We did not fight for recognition. We fought for duty, and that is all that matters. Nathan added, they think we are arrogant, but we are just human, acting as humans should. Grace nodded. And now they know. Even if they do not understand fully, they know humanity is not weak. They know we will not beg, and that knowledge will change them forever. Human fleets returned to orbit above Earth. Ships repaired, crews rested, and scientists continued their work. The Voran threat had been eliminated, and humanity had proven its independence and strength to the galaxy. Jack walked along the observation deck, looking at the glowing blue planet below. We do not need a seat to make a difference, he said. We never have. We never will. Humanity stands alone, and in that aloneness, we are strong enough to protect more than just ourselves. Emma joined him. They may never understand our way of acting, but they will remember it. They will remember that humans never begged. That humans always chose to act when it was right. Jack nodded. And they will learn to respect it, even if they do not like it, even if they fear it. Humanity has shown its power, and that is all that matters. Across the galaxy, the Council continued to debate humanity's message. Talvik could not hide his frustration. They do not come, they do not beg, they do not join, and yet they are more powerful than anyone here. How can this be? Velen replied calmly, because they act with principle. They do not wait for permission. They do not ask for approval. They do what is right, and the galaxy benefits. That is the human way. Talvik shook his head. It is dangerous. They cannot be controlled. They are unpredictable, and yet I cannot deny their strength. I cannot deny the truth. The other delegates nodded silently. Humanity had proven a lesson none of them could ignore. The seat for Earth remained empty. It was not arrogance. It was choice. It was strength. On Earth, Jack gathered his team for a final briefing. "We did what was necessary," he said. "We acted when no one else could. We saved lives. We proved our strength. And we did it without begging, without compromise, and without a desire for recognition." "That is the essence of humanity," Emma smiled. "We stayed true to ourselves. We did not follow rules imposed by others. We did not fight for glory. We fought because it was right." Liam leaned back. "And that is why the galaxy will never forget us. They may not understand fully. They may fear us, but they will remember that humans act differently. They act independently. They act with courage, and they act decisively." Nathan added, "The Voran threat is gone. Colonies are safe. Civilians are alive, and humanity remains in control of its own destiny." "That is a victory greater than any council seat could give," Grace nodded. "And the seat will remain empty, as it should. We do not need their approval. We do not need their recognition. We only need to act as humans must act." Jack looked out the observation window at the peaceful blue planet below. "We never begged. We never surrendered. We stood alone. And because we stood alone, we were strong enough to stand for everyone. That is the legacy we leave. That is the power of humanity." The Galactic Assembly Hall remained silent. The seat for Earth glowed softly, empty but powerful. Every species understood now that humans were different. They acted for principle, not approval. They fought for what was right, not for recognition. Talvik whispered to Velen, "They are humans. They never begged. And yet they changed the galaxy." Velen nodded. "And that is why the seat remains empty. They do not need it. They never did. And the galaxy will remember them because of it." On Earth, the human fleet returned fully to orbit. Ships were repaired. Crews rested. Scientists continued research. Engineers optimized systems. Humanity had shown its strength, independence, and courage. And still, no one demanded a seat in the council. Humanity did not need it. Jack walked along the observation deck once more. "Let them invite us. Let them recognize our power. We do not need their approval. We act because it is right. That is enough." Emma smiled. "They may never understand fully, but they will remember. They will respect it, and that is all that matters." Liam added, "We did not fight for glory. We fought for duty, and that is what makes us human." Nathan nodded. "The Voran will not return. Colonies are safe. Humanity remains free, and that is our greatest achievement." Grace looked at the glowing seat in the holographic display of the assembly. "And the seat remains empty, as it should, always." Jack turned his eyes to the stars. "The seat has always been empty. It always will be. Humanity never begged. Humanity never surrendered. Humanity stands alone, and in standing alone it is strong enough to stand for all." The galaxy had seen the truth. Humans acted when it was right. They did not ask for permission. They did not beg for recognition. They acted, and that was enough. The seat for Earth remained empty, and it always would be.